January the 18th, 2011, 12 inmates at a dangerous maximum security prison signed a peace pledge and unknowingly set into motion a series of events that would lead to a national peace movement, now referred to as the Kairos Peace Initiative. Those 12 young men, they followed in the footsteps of freedom fighters like Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesus of Nazareth. And they made some decisions and choices in that first 40 days that not only changed their lives, but started a wave of momentum that spread through this prison and now is spreading to other state prisons across the country. And the transformation that I'm seeing with the men that have engaged in this effort is truly miraculous. I'm seeing God move in a way that I never have in my 20 years of ministry experience.
I think what happens is love has a tendency to start to change men's life. I heard one guy, one of the more influential members up there, he said that I fell in love and that's why I want peace, because I want to be able to one day go home and hold my new wife's hand. But without this love, I bring havoc to this place because I had nothing else.
Now, Hays is a camp that is a level 5 maximum security, close security camp, meaning there's very little movement. 1 out of 3 guys there are doing life sentences. 4 out of 5 are doing 20 years plus. So they're sending the guys that have gotten bad trouble or caused problem at other prisons up to Hays. It's a very violent place. Attacks rampant, a lot of gang activity. A lot of people ask me if I'm scared when I'm up there, and I can tell you honestly, I've never felt any fear. But that has nothing to do with me. It has to do with me being called and that promise that I made to God that day. It started out as 40 days at Hays, and we took 7 initiatives that we had developed, and I went to my youth growth therapy group and I started asking them if we could do an experiment. Would they be willing to, for 40 days, live by these simple but very deep concepts? 1, do your very best to live at peace with your Hays State community. Number 2, do not provoke or disrespect any of your fellow inmates or staff. For 40 days, you cannot disrespect anyone. 3, if provoked or when provoked, you cannot retaliate. In the spirit of Dr. King and really in the spirit of Matthew 5, turn the other cheek. If somebody provokes you, then you can rise above it. Number 4, when you're cursed, you can't curse back. Number 5, you cannot lie, cheat, or steal. For 40 days, you tell the truth. Don't take anything that's not yours. Don't cheat anybody out of anything. Number 6, when you are wrong, promptly admit it, and quickly make amends. This is a program of progress, not perfection. So when you make a mistake, you're just committing to admitting it, owning up to it, doing whatever it takes to make it right for the first 40 days. And number 7, I'll treat people with the respect with which I wish to be treated. Regardless of how people treat you, you initiate and treat people with respect. And it took a few weeks of reasoning with the guys, these 12 men in the youth growth therapy group, to get them to the point where they were willing to give this thing a try. There was a man named Andre, and he stepped forward and kind of became the point man on this team. And I asked the guys if they would journal their progress, victories, struggles, defeats, obstacles, as they tried to live by these 7 peace initiatives. Would they be willing to journal their progress? Well, Andre took it to the next level, and he journaled some things. It's captivating, compelling, it's brilliant. And he led us into his mind and into his heart over these 40 days. And although I asked them just to try to live this way and not necessarily to go out and recruit, he went out and started telling everybody that would listen, especially leaders on the compound. And what happened was people started talking about peace. And when I was at the prison for other things, I would hear people over talking, hey, have you heard about the 40 days? Are you down with the 40 days? And I realized that this thing had taken on a life of its own. We decided to develop a peace council. It was like a roundtable discussion, and we wanted to engage the opinion leaders and the men of influence from the different dorms around the camp and choose the 2 or 3 guys that carried the most weight in these dorms and get them together at a table and talk about real issues.
It's a group of about 20 men. men of influence, and to sit and to watch them negotiate peace among themselves in a place that is very dangerous, that all the time, they're all, every man there has to watch their back at all times. And to see them wanting peace at this place, at this time, some with life sentences, some with long terms, have nothing to lose. It means something because they have taken the initiative to do something greater than themselves. They're looking beyond the hills. They're even looking beyond prison walls.
Gang leaders have gotten involved. Other men of influence, and the reason we call it now the men of influence and not gang leaders is because we were having trouble getting some men that we wanted in the discussion to participate because they, rightly so, did not want to be affiliated with the gangs. So now we get together every Friday with these men of influence and we talk about real issues. For example, a couple of weeks ago we talked about an issue that had happened that week. A man was actually tied up, wrapped up in a sheet, and set on fire in one of the dorms as a gang retaliation for something he had done in another prison. So we brought that to the council and we talked about it, and men discussed what should happen, what could have happened, how it could have been prevented. And we actually came up with something that day, very practical, to try to help things like that from not to happen in the future. And one thing was significant. A man stepped forward, and he's somebody at Hayes. He wears white with the blue stripes, but he's a gang leader, #1 ranking gang leader with a particular group. And he said something that really caught my attention. He said, the men in this place can tell you how bad they are, and some of them are bad men, but nobody wants to do hard time. And there's a place in every man's heart that wants peace. And I, for one, want to take a stand for peace. And when he stood up, everybody paid attention because he carries a lot of weight, has a lot of influence in that place. Another young man who's another high-ranking gang leader from another gang, he used to be a hitman with the gangs. He stepped forward and said, if you're in, I'm in. And men decided to use their influence to bring about peace at Hayes. And the warden actually made note that when the peace talks started, for the next 3 weeks, there were no stabbings at Hayes, which is significant because stabbings happen every day. Violence happens every week. And we saw a measurable decrease when the leaders started talking about peace.
Now, I spent from 2006 to 2011 at Hayes State Prison, and never, not once in that time, do I remember 3.5 weeks going by without a stabbing. So that right there should give you enough information to show that it's very, very important for Hayes State Prison.
What I think is exciting about Kairos is we offer around the country about 25,000 volunteers. They want to go into prison and be of service to the institution, and they want to help change lives. And I think we do that very well because our people are well trained. Our history in terms of our behavior and our results, I think, is well documented, and there are many wardens all over the country that will testify that the difference in their institution before the Kairos program and after the Kairos program. And so I would just say to the wardens and anyone hearing this, please work with us, please help us, because we want to change your institution. We want it to be peaceful. We want these men and women to change their hearts and change their lives. We want men and women to get out of prison and be good citizens.
That's the dream. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they should be called sons of God.